like be helpful. But I don't know. I feel like HAF, like, Kona, they're all very oriented towards like people like Indian American students. I don't know if they're very oriented towards like immigrant students. So to reach out to them, I think the Indian student associations and the universities are the best bet because they are the ones that reach out to the immigrant students even before they come to the US, and they help them like get roommates and things like that. So yeah, I would think that if, a checklist like that were to ever come up, reaching out to those associations would be most helpful.
And
Um,
since you are relatively most recent students compared to you can see on the screen. So from student point of view, what do you think they may be looking for from us?
uh, honestly, it's really hard to say. I guess it like really depends on like from issue to issue because I think we were discussing it's really hard to find a correlation between all of these kind of incidents. But yeah, generally like, similar age group people to talk to is always helpful. I think a Hindu chaplain would have a lot of, would be good, but the only issue is that a lot of students don't really identify as strong Hindus. So to reach out to a Hindu chaplain would need some pre-existing groundwork, even if it's kids from India, like in my experience, like they associate as Indians more than they associate as Hindu. And a lot of the Hindu chaplains that I know at a lot of universities are, again, Indian American student, like Indian Americans. So their outreach is always towards Indian Americans, if anything. It's never geared towards. So well, I guess what I'm trying to say is that it's two entirely different demographics, and they need to be handled with two entirely different strategies. And trying to kind of bring them together under one bucket is probably not going to be as effective.
You have a very good point, Shravya. And when we started Hindu Student Association at Duke, it was half and half of the Indian Americans and half of Indians. Now it turns out that our chaplain is only attracting Indian students, not the Indian Americans. So,
Oh, really? Yeah,
yeah,
it's really different. It depends on like the background, but I feel like they always try to get one or the other. Getting getting both is
yeah.
under one bucket is
Well,
I tried hard in the beginning
uh,
to keep both of them engaged, but somehow it is very
yeah.
difficult, as you point out.
I cannot believe that HAF and Kona, they would be wise in as much giving importance to Indian students coming here, Indian students coming from India too, rather than only the local one. They should have an equal emphasis on both.
I don't think it's their goal to kind of like categorize them and then kind of target them in that way. But I think it's the issues that Kona and HAF deal with that kind of create that kind of dichotomy on its own, right? Like for
Understand.
example, HAF, works on like recently worked on that I don't remember the case number, but like the Cisco caste case, right? As a Hindu Indian student, they don't really care about that. They care about finishing their graduation and getting a job. Like they don't really care about how Hindus are affected in the US necessarily because they're still very new to be concerned about the politics of this land, right? So by that, like because of that logic, that disassociation kind of occurs. And if you look at Kona, like they're really focused on like schools and the syllabus that schools teach about Hinduism and things like that. So it's the topics that they pick up that kind of like differentiates them from this demographic.
But I agree with you on the Hindu chaplain thing. But the free meals being provided,
Right.
they will attract all of them, right?
I agree. That's true. When I went to school, there would be like so many Christian organizations or churches that would offer free food, and that would attract everybody across the board. Like no demographic matters when it's free food.
A
So
way to man's heart is through his stomach, and that applies to the students a lot more who are looking for.
that's very true.
But the
Yeah.
majority of the
And
students.
sorry, go ahead.
The majority of the
Sid.
students who died are from
thought
India. They
is
are not
that
from US, isn't it?
who?
The majority of the students
people.
who died have come from India, isn't it? They are not the
Yes.
local
Right,
students.
Two of them are from US.
Right, but the majority have come from the India. They are telling that it is the Indian students who have a headache in integrating in a, taking usual, see, local ball students know what to avoid, like carbon monoxide, I expect them to know that. So a lot of things they would be familiar with, they would be avoiding certain areas and so on and so forth. And monetary wise, they may be better off too. So go ahead,
Yeah.
Savia.
I honestly think that the other point that the other lady brought up about you know, making more of a noise about these cases after the math is also really important. Like, it's great, like internally, we should always obviously discuss how we can improve the lives, like the quality of the lives of our students, but also externally, like what are we doing to bring this up to like national media and like mainstream news, right? That awareness is what's gonna automatically generate both sides of this problem, like solutions for both sides of this problem. Like, it's going to automatically create those checklists we were talking about, but it's going to automatically also create like police are not going to be as maybe reckless, or it's going to automatically help parents kind of navigate, you know, the legal issues that may arise after the math. So I think awareness and bringing this to the national level is really important, more than trying to understand what's causing these issues, because it seems like they're all very, the one and only common factor seems like that they're all Indian students, right? Like, other than that, it seems really hard to find a similarity between all of the cases, unless there's more to it that we don't know about.
One more
Right.
thing I
But-
found in the,
Mhm.
sorry. One more
Go
thing I
ahead.
found in the display, I mean, in the presentations was names of the suspects. Who are these suspects? Who have done? I mean,
We
there's no,
did see a couple of American names there. We did see them.
for
They
few
are
of
local
them, not
Americans.
for all. Yeah.
They're homeless guys, local American, and some of the other, there was one other guy name was there. So none of them were suspicious in a sense. There was only one, I think, Arabic guy or Jordanian or so guy. There was only one of that nature.
Right. So I'm just curious if it is a targeted killing then or Indophobia thing, there should be somewhere some names somewhere. I mean, I don't know. Maybe I'm just guessing the suspects, nature of suspects. Yeah. If it is mostly with drug abuse and alcohol abuse, yeah, that's unfortunate thing. But otherwise, we need to know the suspects too. Yep.
Very good.